Hello, speakers and leaders, and welcome to How to Speak with No Fear, presentation secrets to help you go from terrified to terrific. My name is Kit Pang, and I know that speaking anxiety is no joke, whether if it's, you feel like physical symptoms or maybe it's all mental. Being a speaker coach, this is 90% of the clients that come to me are dealing with the fear of speaking and the anxiety part of it. It could be the buildup. It could be the mental piece where we're getting stuck in our heads. So today, let's really talk about how can we become better speakers and speak with no fear. And again, if you are watching this live, welcome right now. I would like to invite you to ask any questions. You can put it into the comments. If you are watching a replay of this, you can also drop it into the comments and I'll make sure that I'll get back to you. But let's go ahead and get started. And again, ask any questions at any time because this video is for you. So, how to speak with no fear. But when it comes to speaking with no fear, you might be dealing with some of these challenges, okay? It could be, number one, it could be the build-up to your speaking situation. They are not ideal. It could be, for example, what I mean by build-up, when you first hear that you have a speaking situation, you start dreading it already. This could be a month out. This could be even 1 day out. Now, the buildup can also intensify when it's the day of. You know what happens the day of? You can't think of anything else to do. You just want to get rid of the presentation, get it over with. And especially when it's coming down to the 1 hour part, the 10 minutes, you start feeling it, right? Your body is doing things that you don't want it to do. You're blanking out. You don't feel like you are here in the moment. So for a lot of my clients that I work with, it is this build-up moment when it feels horrible. Most of them would say after this build-up moment, maybe 10 minutes in, 5 minutes into the speaking event, to the presentation, they feel fine. You know, it's usually this buildup that is a challenge for most of us. Another challenge you might be dealing with, and I get a lot of clients that are coming with this situation, you know, you're not new at presenting, but for some reason, you lost your mojo. Now, if you see on the screen, there's a word that I wrote, and it's called yip. So one of the people that reached out to me, they asked me, they said, Kit, do you play golf? And I said, no, I said, no, I don't play golf. Why are you asking? Because in golf, there's something called a yip. So basically a yip is they've been playing golf and they've been doing great, but for some reason, they got a yip moment and they kind of lost their mojo and they can't really play as good as anymore. So if you are feeling that way, a lot of people, maybe like yourself, you've presented 1,000 times, maybe you even do on a weekly basis, but something happened and you got your speaking yip moment, I will say. So if any of you feel this way, let me know in the chat. Do any of you feel this way? Maybe it's the build-up, maybe it's the yip moment for you, but let me know. Or maybe you feel that your speaking is holding you back. Now, there could be a lot of different reasons why you feel like your speaking is holding you back. It could be your mannerisms. Maybe you feel like you are saying too many ums or ahs or filler words, or perhaps you think you're speaking too fast. So whatever it is that you feel like your speaking is holding you back, there is a solution to that as well. But we first have to know why it is that, for example, your speaking, you think, is holding you back. So these are some of the top things that people are dealing with, especially the first two when it comes to speaking anxiety. You know, so I want you to know that you are not alone in this. A lot of the people that I help also deal with this at the same time. So the question I really want us to answer for our time together today is, how does one actually go from terrified to terrific as a speaker? And here are some things I'll be talking about. Here's what you'll learn. One, what you'll need to work on to go from terrified to terrific as a speaker. Second, how to avoid the biggest presentation mistake that people are making, and strategies to help you ease your speaking anxiety and speak like a pro. Now, before we dive into the results, how to get results, how to do everything, you have to know reasons before results, right? Usually we are so strapped for time, we forget to think of, hey, why do I want to work on this in the first place? So I would love for you, if you're live right now, type into the chat, what are some of your reasons of why you want to become a better speaker? And if you're watching the replay, type into the comments as well. Now, if you have a notebook next to you or you're on your laptop, I would love for you to write this down. What are some of your reasons for becoming a better speaker? Okay, and this will vary with different people. But again, it's reasons before results. What are your, because if you don't get connected with your results, sometimes we lose track of it, right? We are now living in this, I read this in a blog, and they said we are now living in this microwave world where we put something in for a minute, and then before the 1 minute is over, we just want to take it out. Right now, we want to do things so fast. We forget the end goal of why we wanted sometimes to do this in the first place. And so, yeah, it could be, for example, gaining more confidence. Like two is saying, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. It could be gaining more confidence. It could be becoming a better leader. It could be becoming more persuasive. It could be earning more income. And then we also, maybe it's to be able to better communicate your ideas, right? Thank you for sharing. So what are your reasons before we really dive into it? You need to take some time to reflect if you want to get better as a speaker. Now, I just want to share a little something about myself, my reasons, okay, before my results. Actually, this picture is of me in a public speaking competition. It's kind of blurry because this is the only image that I took a screenshot of. This was back in college. I went to this place called Hamilton College. And so public speaking actually came to me unexpectedly. I was in college. Now, I'm not sure if you remember your college days. I was walking into the diner and I saw this poster. And this was my senior year in college, okay? I saw this poster. And it says $3,000 for first place in this public speaking competition. Now, I was a senior. I didn't have a job lined up for my next year. I didn't even really know what I really wanted to do. I was shy. Like in the classrooms, I would not raise my hands. I would be too shy to speak. Public speaking was one of those things I had to do. My grade depended on it. I had to do it. Did I like it? It was one of those things I would rather not do it. But for some reason, I was compelled. I'm like, oh man, I'm a broke college student. Let me go into this public speaking competition. Now, this was taking place in the chapel, okay? So I want you to know, this was the moment when it all changed for me. I was in that chapel for the whole week before the presentation happened. I would practice my body language over and over, right? I would stand in the front of the chapel on the stage, and I would do the same body language like 1,000 times, like good morning, everyone, right? Maybe I didn't like my way that my hands were going. I would practice my voice, like good morning, everyone. I forgot exactly what I said, but I memorized the words. The words were so memorized. I didn't even have to, it was just flowing, okay? So I was practicing my body language. I was practicing my voice. I was practicing 24/7. And during that event, have you ever felt this way before, getting into the zone? I got into the zone with public speaking. Now, growing up as an Asian American, about me and my family, we don't express our feelings or emotions that much. We don't say like, I love you out loud. We don't hug a lot. So that day I felt, because I practiced so much, it was just flowing out. I didn't have to think about anything at all. That was the day when I felt 100% confident. I felt like I was myself. I was authentic. I was vulnerable. And the most important thing, I was realized I was in the moment. I was in my spotlight. And I can look at people in the eyes and I can see them nodding, right? That to me was 100% confidence. I was being able to be vulnerable. I felt like I could just be myself. Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever felt that way before? Maybe you have in past situations, but maybe now, let's say you're in a new work situation and you don't feel that way anymore. Or maybe the next time you get to do a Zoom call, you don't feel that anyway anymore, right? So how do we go from terrified to terrific, right? How do you, at the end of the day, become yourself, become authentic, and get into the zone every single time? So I just wanted to share that experience with you, because if you have not felt that before, that is one of those experiences you have to definitely gain in your life. Now, if you did feel that before, I want to help you get it again. And that's why I went into public speaking, because I know that at that time, I also wanted to become, and I did win, thank you, that $3,000. I was super happy that, I didn't even have a job. So that money really helped me out. And so at that time, I wanted to become a better leader. And this is what Warren Buffett is saying, right? Improving your public speaking skills will raise your value by 50%. So basically, he is saying that public speaking is the most important skill for your career success. And I'm going to say leadership success. So I dived into public speaking and I fell in love with I started doing smaller things, events at first. Then I started like on the top left, I started giving seminars to like the US Navy. I gave a TEDx talk, started hosting my own events, teaching CEOs and executives. And so I fell in love with public speaking. And these are the reasons I want to thank you today for coming on the seminar, because I'm here to help you step up your game as a speaker. Now, some of the things, I'm not sure if you know some of these things, only 8% of those who have public speaking fear seek professional help. Now, why is that, right? Only 8% of those who have public speaking fear seek professional help. After working with so many clients, let me tell you why. Public speaking, unlike leadership skills, most people don't say out loud, hey, I'm going to work on my public speaking because I have a fear of public speaking. Some people, it could be embarrassing to say. I had this one client. I went over to his office at 8 p.m. Because he's, that was a good time. There was no one in the building. Okay. And he's a super smart, intelligent guy. He had more of a speaking anxiety, because he also felt like everyone in his company were such great speakers. They were like all salespeople. They were such charismatic speakers. But whenever he had to speak, he didn't feel up to par. So I remember that day, it was 8 p.m. at night. The janitor was there, no one else. Okay. And I said to him, hey, there's an auditorium down the hall. Can we go there and practice so we can simulate this environment? So we were in his office. And do you know what happened? He said, kid, stay here for a second. He went out to the hallway, went all the way down to the hallway, looked around a few times to check that no one was there. And he came back to the room and said, kid, maybe we'll be fine in this room. And I looked at him and I said, look, speaking anxiety is no joke, but if you want to step up your game as a leader, as a professional, be more successful in your career, this is something that you have to face head on. No, so that is why when I'm sharing that stat with you, only 8% of those who have public speaking fear seek professional help. Okay, it could be you don't want other people to know. It could be something that you're embarrassed about. So I want you to know, if you are in this situation, it is 100% okay. But I do want you to know that other people are also dealing with the same thing as well. Okay. Also, public speaking cuts wages by 10%, and this will lead on to the next fact. Fear of public speaking inhibits promotion to management by 15%. Now, why is that, right? I'm not sure if you noticed, but as we become managers or leaders of people, we start doing more with our speaking. Okay, there was this example. Let's say someone is working at McDonald's. Okay, now at the very entry, let's say they're going in and they're flipping burgers. There's nothing wrong with that. But as they advance from just working the line to managers of all these people, they're doing less of the hard skills. What do they have to do? They have to speak more to not just one other person, to the whole team. It could be 10 people. Now, let's say you're a manager of the manager. So what do you have to do now? So as you can see, as you rise up in the rank, as you become a better leader, right? As you are entrepreneur and you start hiring people, public speaking is a leadership skill that if you want to become a leader one day, you have to master. Now, most people actually get this wrong. And I'm going to use a fitness example with this. You know how you might want to get fit? Most people don't work out and get fit when they are already fit. They work out, therefore they get fit. Now, when it comes to our professional success and leadership, most people think, oh, when I get that job or when I become this great leader, therefore I will work on my public speaking skill. No, that doesn't make any sense, right? If you want to get fit, you have to work along the way to get fit. If you want to be a better leader and more successful, you have to do it along the way, not wait till, hey, I'm gonna raise your income and I'm gonna raise you up to the CEO position just because you have to work your way there. So you need to start working on your public speaking skills now, and don't wait for the one day I become a leader. Okay, so let's go down into what do you need to work on to go from terrified to terrific as a speaker. And before we dive into the exact, like what do you need to do, let's talk about what is the difference between actually terrified and terrific as a speaker. So here are some things that you need to know. One, we avoid speaking situations. If we're nervous, if we're anxious, whenever we have a speaking situation, we're just going to say, no, I'll rather pass it off to someone else, right? You don't feel like yourself. You don't feel like you can be yourself. You can't say what you want. You feel like you want to say something, but you can't. You can't be vulnerable. You can't share the things. You can't just feel like you're having a conversation. You are always assuming the worst. Like the things you might be saying are, oh, what if I mess up? I'm going to screw up. And here's the thing. You've probably been giving the same presentation over and over again, but for some reason, because the executives or maybe the board or maybe 1,000 people are in the room, you start playing mind games, which is you get stuck in your head, okay? They get stuck in the head. What about a terrific speaker, right? A terrific speaker, they're always seeking more opportunities. If a speaking opportunity will come their way, they would say, oh yeah, definitely, count me in, okay? Even if they don't have speaking opportunities, they look for speaking opportunities. Now, here's a very important thing I want to say when it comes to speaking. I was once in a workshop. This was a networking workshop, and the instructor, Claudia, she said something that really changed my mind about how I teach public speaking nowadays. And again, this workshop was about networking. And she said, well, how do you become a good networker? Are you one of those people that networks only when you get into a networking event? Or are you a networker who can build relationships everywhere? Because he said, networking is a lifestyle. It's just not a networking event. You enter the space, therefore you are a good networker. No, if you are a good networker, you can go up the elevator and you can build relationships, not when you just enter an event. And this is the same exact thing when you are learning public speaking skills, right? Most of the people think, oh, I'm going to speak in front of a crowd, therefore I should tell more stories. Well, here's the fact. You should be telling stories in your one-on-one conversations and group settings already, not just because I'm going to speak to a crowd, therefore I tell stories, okay, as an example. Because if you see any great speakers out there, they will be the same no matter if they are in a one-on-one situation, a group situation, a speaking situation. They will feel like the same. Of course, it's a little bit different. They might turn up more energy when it's public speaking situations. So I hope all of you are liking this so far. I want to share some of the comments that people were sharing. We have, and this is the question I asked a little bit earlier about your reasons before results. We have Michael saying, better communicate ideas for business development, right? Veronica is saying, I would like to share my ideas speaking as good as I do in writing. My thoughts seem to get scattered while in front of an audience. Now, Veronica, thank you for sharing. And this is really important because like you're saying, you're doing good in writing. But when you're speaking, maybe it's a whole different alien experience, right? So how can you bridge the gap, right? Brina, hey Brina, hope you're doing well. Brina is saying to make a difference by sharing my story, ideas, and thoughts. So keep the comments coming. I love it. So let's keep on going on with what is the difference between terrified and terrific, right? When you feel like a terrific speaker, you can feel like you are speaking with authenticity and you can be vulnerable. You can be yourself in any situation. That's right. Any situation. You're talking to experts, you're talking to the board, you're selling to clients. You can be yourself, okay? They don't assume the worst, but they embrace the opportunity. Even if they fail, they say, how can I learn from this opportunity? Okay. Instead of saying, oh, I'm going to mess up. I'm going to mess up. I'm going to fail. I'm going to do so bad. They also think of, even if this is a bad opportunity, how can I make it better? Right. So here's an example of a mindset from great speakers that I've been around. They said, if people are making faces, that is even better than people not doing anything at all, right? He said the worst thing that people can do is be tuned out. Just say nothing, right? He'd rather have them be angry than them just being whatever, because he knows if they are stirring up their emotions, that means he can listen to them and counter what they're thinking. And so they can, again, an example of different mindsets, right? So what kind of mindset do you have as a speaker? So another thing is that terrific speakers, they're able to be present in the moment. You know what I mean? We're so busy, we get stuck in our heads. But this is kind of like being a good performer. This is your spot, like a Broadway performer. This is your spotlight. Are you living up the moment, or are you thinking about the past or the future? So what do you need to work on to go from terrified to terrific? After working with so many business professionals, CEOs, entrepreneurs, many different individuals, I've noticed that there are these 5 stages of public speaking growth that, here's the thing, it doesn't matter what rank you're in. You can be CEO or you can just be starting out. These stages does not matter, okay? The ranking does not matter. Let me explain them all first. It's 1, avoid. You're just avoiding speaking situations. Next, because you're tired of avoiding speaking situations. Therefore, you go out and seek how to become a better speaker. You want to learn the craft of speaking. And as you're learning the craft of speaking, as you're getting more comfortable just doing what the books or the instructor or I am saying, you start experimenting with the different structures and formats and the way to say things. And after you start experimenting and you're getting more confident, you start branding yourself, right? It's what makes you special. Those speakers that you've seen, you're going to say, oh, wow, that's them, right? So you start finding out what makes you really good. And then you start becoming a transformative, influential speaker. Now you start transforming not just your life, but other people's lives every single time that you speak. So I want to go into the time that we have today. We will be diving into the avoid section, into the learn section, all the other things. It's just within this time frame today, it's hard to get into. So when we get into the avoid section, the one main question that you want to ask yourself, and type into the comments right now, what and why are you avoiding speaking situations? Now, this is completely different for everyone, okay? What are you avoiding and why are you avoiding it? Now, let me just give some examples. Why might you be avoiding speaking situations? Because of the certain people. Now, you might be fine speaking to, let's say, for example, people that you manage, but when you speak to higher ups, you get nervous again. Okay, so what are you avoiding? You're avoiding situations where, let's say, you think people have more power, or maybe they're experts, as one example. So turning this back to you, you can write this into the notebook, but I would hope that you take the time right now to figure it out, right? Because it's hope is not the only answer. I want you to have hope that you can become a better speaker, but hope will not get you out of public speaking fear, okay? You can just not rely on one day I hope to speak with confidence. No, you need to be able to figure out what and why are you avoiding these speaking situations. So I just want to read some comments right now. So Brina is saying, and thank you for sharing, I avoid impromptu speaking situations, especially because you know my mind goes blank and it's embarrassing and it's awful. So right, it's good to know, for example, like Brina is saying, well, oh man, because of one situation that might have happened in the past, my mind is just going blank and I feel awful. So if you're watching this right now, I want you to know, don't put any judgment into this. I just want you to list these things out. Most of the time, we say, oh man, this is so bad, I don't even want to think about it. Well, because we might even be avoiding thinking about the situation, right? So how can you just don't judge yourself, don't judge the situation. I just want you to list these things down, okay? So if you're watching a replay of this, pause. If you're watching live, come back and do it. So when it comes to avoiding, I'm going to move on to the next thing is learn. When we're learning, the question is, what do you have to learn? And I'll go into this section a little bit later, but I just want to give you all an overview. Experimenting, right? What actually are you experimenting with? Maybe it's the structure, maybe it's the language pattern, maybe it's the way you construct your PowerPoint slides, and then it's brand. What makes you special, right? For example, if we want to take this example of playing the piano, when you learn how to play the piano, you can't make music because you don't know the keys. So therefore, when you're in the learning stage, you are just playing what the books or the coach is telling you. They say, play this chord. You say, yes, ma'am, or yes, sir, I'm just going to play it. As you get better, you start experimenting with the song. And then brand, right? What makes you special? Maybe you would rather play jazz over classical. So you start finding your style soon. And then it's transformed, right? How can you truly influence others? So let's talk about speaking fear and dive into more of the avoid section. Why does it happen? Okay, one is task mastery. So what do I mean by task mastery? If you want to ride a bike, you just cannot go read 100 books on riding a bicycle, watch 500 YouTubes without going in person outside to get on a bike and riding a bicycle. Most people have a fear of public speaking because they just did not get enough speaking situations or reps, okay? Now, it's task mastery also plus the risk that you will take. So let's say you want to swim the same lap over and over. You want to be Michael Phelps, or you want to be a good swimmer. And you're swimming the same 2 laps for 2 minutes, let's say, each time, and you're doing that for the whole year. You need to be able to make yourself a little bit uncomfortable and take more risk each time you swim. Because each time you swim, okay, here's what happens. I'm going to swim the next one in 1 minute, 30 seconds, okay? Now you're testing yourself. So it's opportunity plus risk. So if you are just getting a lot of opportunities, that's great. But having more opportunities by itself will not help you become a better speaker. It does help you, but you need to take a small risk at each time. So why does speaking fear happen? Because you don't have that task mastery yet. Second reason is because it's high stakes. In your mind, it's high stakes. Maybe you're talking to, let's say, a bunch of experts in the room, or maybe, let's say, executives or the boardroom. And it's like, oh, you're thinking, what if I mess up, right? Well, the people in the audience, it's not high stakes for them. It's high stakes for you. And you're like, oh, what if I mess up? So in your mind, you created the situation where it's really high stakes. So it could be, for example, you're crossing the street and you think a car is going to hit you, but in reality, nothing might ever happen. Okay, the same thing is happening to you in this high stakes situation. What if, right? What if that happens? What if that happens? Right? I want to over prepare so I look good, so I don't mess up. Right? I don't want to miss any information. I just want to be the best. This will spiral into a bunch of different things. But a third reason of why speaking fear happens is because of adrenaline. Now, well, what do I mean by that? Adrenaline. It's not that the adrenaline is making you scared. It's that you don't know how to handle the adrenaline. I'm going to say that again. You don't know how to handle the adrenaline. When it takes over your body, you start reacting and you're not controlling your body. You're not controlling your breath. What happens when you're nervous or you're scared? The first thing that will go away is your breath. You need to be able to get that back. So Olympians who lift like 100,000 pounds, or they need to run super fast, they also have this adrenaline, but you know what happens? They're excited for it. That's what they look forward to. When it comes to the fear side of things, you have this anxiety, but you're not looking forward to the opportunity. So how can you, at that moment, when you feel that adrenaline rush, First, you have to notice, ooh, I'm not breathing enough. Or maybe you start noticing your body is doing funny stuff that you don't know why it's doing funny stuff, like you're just moving your hands. Notice it, take a breath in, and gain back control of your adrenaline. Okay. Now, when it comes to speaking fear, there's something called beta blockers. I'm not suggesting for you to do it because there are side effects. So when you take these pills, these beta blockers, you won't be scared anymore. Because what do? They stop the heart rate from pumping so fast. They actually slow down, they slow down your adrenaline. So another way to do this is, imagine you have one of those Fitbits on and the heart is racing. What can you actually do? You can put your hand on your heart and manually slow down your heart rate. So you want to think of, oh, it's going 150. How can you think of, I'm going to lower it to 125, to 60? Of course, not all the way down to 0, but how can you but if you have an actual Fitbit, that'll be kind of cool because you can actually turn that on and say, I'm looking at the numbers right now. Okay, so that's one cool little trick that I think about whenever I'm nervous, not just with speaking, but with any other situation. I go back to, what can I do? Okay, and here's a funny one for you. Funny, but a serious one at the same time. It's also in your genes. Now, my wife took this test. It's called 23andMe. Have any of you taken 23andMe before? It's this DNA test. Of course, she wanted to find out if anything was wrong with her. And there was this funny section. It says, she likes chocolate ice cream over vanilla ice cream, or she has flat feet versus not flat feet, And then it says she's more likely to be scared of public speaking. So I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. Okay, so I took the same exact test, and here were my results with the speaking side. It says, Kit, based on your genetic factor and other factors, I am less likely to have a fear of public speaking. Now, I'm going to say, take this with a grain of salt. It does depend on how you grew up as an individual, who you're surrounding yourself with, the things that you are doing throughout your life. But I have to say, and I'm being 100% serious, there are people that I worked with that just takes them a little bit longer than other people who have like extreme fear of public speaking. It just takes them a little bit longer for them to ease their anxiety. Now, I'm not sure if you have animals, dogs or cats, but they said that certain types of breeds of dogs are more anxious over other types of breeds of dogs, like for example, some sound, right? So I want you to know, if you do have that extreme fear of public speaking, I want you to understand it could be innate. Of course, it depends on a lot of different situations that's happening with us at the same time. So these are some of the reasons of why you're avoiding this public speaking situations. So first is, what stage are you actually in, right? Because we're discovering what you need to work on. So if you are in the avoiding stage and you're avoiding speaking situation, first you need to know that you are in that stage, because if you don't know that you're avoiding, right, eventually you will cross over this mark and you're going to say eventually, okay, maybe it could be 3 years, it could be 5 years, it could be 10 days. You're going to say to yourself, I am tired of this. I need to do something with this fear of speaking that I have, this anxiety. I just want to get over it. I can't handle it anymore. So therefore, you go over to the next stage. It's the learning stage. Well, what is it that you have to learn to become a better speaker? This is what I call presentation intelligence. These are the 6 core areas that matter most to your success. Now, these are the things that, after working with so many different individuals, I'll explain a little bit of them. Mindset is the first one. It's how you think. I'm going to come back to all of this, okay? Then it's mission. Think of influence. Think of persuasion. How you get others to believe and take action. And then next, it's map. How you organize what you say, how you plan what you say, the structure around your message. And then it's matter. It's the way you say it, the words that you use, the language patterns that you use. And then it's manner, your delivery, right? Your body language, your vocal variety, your energy. And then it's medium, the communication channel that you're using. For example, what types of mediums am I using now? I'm speaking to the camera. I am using PowerPoint. I'm also using chat. I'm also using this live stream software called Restream. And so you see, a lot of people, when they had to go virtually, they were freaking out because they're like, oh, kid, like how can I deal with this PowerPoint? I'm on Zoom. I can't see other people's faces and I have the chat going on. There's a lot more things when it comes to the medium side of it. So I want to speak about mindset really quickly because that's one of the most important ones. Okay, when it comes to working as and improving as a speaker. So you want to think of your mindset like this. In the jungle, you've all heard of this, right? Who is the king of the jungle? They would say the lion. Well, here's the thing: the lion. Why is the lion they deemed the king of the jungle? The lion is not the strongest. It's not the biggest. It's not the fastest. It's not the most pretty looking one out there. But still, the lion is still the king of the jungle. Why is that? Because of the way the lion is thinking. They have a champion mindset. Because when the lion sees an elephant, the elephant is probably thinking, oh, there's a lion. I better go. There's a lion. But the lion, when the lion is seeing an elephant, is thinking, I can eat that elephant. Okay. So as a mindset, as a speaker, do you have a growth mindset? Are you attacking your speaking situations? Are you going in there saying, hey, I got this. Okay. I can do it. Right. I am a speaker. I am confident. I am a storyteller. I have important ideas that I want to share. I have important ideas that people should listen to. I believe in myself. I am a confident speaker. Right? What is your mindset like when you go into speaking situations? And also, mindset. Are you taking the time to reflect as a speaker? Right? Are you just going into speaking situations and then you never look back at it? Because I guarantee you, everything that you are serious about, you will take time to reflect on how you did. Okay, maybe you're building a product, or it could be a hobby. You're always thinking, what could I have done better this time and the next time and the next time? Okay, so when it comes to mission, how you get others to believe and take action. And this is very important because we sometimes, when we go into speaking situations, we lose the purpose, right? Don't lose focus of your purpose, of your goals. Let's say this is a basketball situation. What do you want to do? You want to put the ball in the basket. Sometimes we lose sight of that as speakers because we start playing mind games, okay? Mission. Can you get others to believe and take action? And can you not let them get lost on, can you not get lost on your side of that? And how can you start becoming more influential? How can you start becoming more persuasive? And this is also another cause of speaking anxiety, actually. When it comes to getting other people to believe in what you want to say, sometimes as a speaker, you might be putting in 1,000 bullet points and you want everyone to believe in all these bullet points and all this information. But the best speakers, do you know what they do? They have one main thing that they want you to believe, okay? You can see this example everywhere, okay? The webinar that I'm doing is how to speak with no fear. You open up a book, you see a title. You go to a movie, there's a title first, okay? There's usually a great one message, whether this is a weekly update, whether this is a presentation, whether this is maybe a 2-day event, okay? There is a message, some belief that you want them to take, and they don't bombard people with it. So this is what happens. It goes hand in hand. Sometimes when we have so much information, you can't be yourself because all you're thinking about is, what do I have to get across next, right? What's my next bullet point? What's my next thing? And so therefore you sound more like a robot and less of yourself. Now, map is certainly, if this is a piece that you want to work on, map, if you are not taking the time to organize what you say. Now, I know some of you're listening right now. When I say this, you know your speaking will become 10 times better. When I take time to prepare my thoughts, write out what I want to say in bullet points, I'm going to become a lot more confident. Well, even if I practice 2 times, I'm going to become a lot more confident. So if you are in this situation right now, take the time to plan out what you want to say. Take the time to practice what you want to say once, twice, 3 times. And even if you do these things, what happens? Your speaking gets that much better. Well, what's stopping you? I'm too busy. I don't have time for this. I'm too lazy, right? All these different things, right? So map take the time to plan, prioritize, and pause, right? Pause as in don't be a monkey. Don't do everything that's out there that's grabbing your attention. And then we have matter. It's the way you say things. Okay, matter is the way you say things. So, for example, you can see that if you have kids, I don't have kids. Let's say you say to a kid, "Don't do this." You can say it out loud just like that. But when we're talking with adults or with anyone, if we just say, "Don't do this," sometimes that just doesn't illustrate the point good enough. You need to be able to finagle that message around so the other person really understands. And it depends on how you say it, the things that you say, the structure that you use that goes around it, not just "don't do this," right? Great speakers will say, "Don't do this." They'll share a story, and they might use another example to prove that point. Okay, so it's the way you say things. And then we have manner, right? Manner is your delivery, right? Your body language, your vocal variety, your energy, right? If you have speaking anxiety, what you want to do, and I'll show this a little bit later too, is make your body language a little bit bigger. You know how they're like fighting cats? If you have two cats fighting or animals, they make the body language a little bit bigger. Same exact thing. So if you have this anxiety, well, what's the first thing you can do? Make your body language a little bit bigger than you need to spice up your intro, to spice up your confidence. And then it's medium. Medium is working on your communication channels. So for example, I'm looking, most of the time, as you can see, I'm actually looking at you by looking at to the camera. That's just one communication channel, practicing looking at the camera. Then, I'm not sure if you know, but I am also having my phone to make sure the YouTube live is going on and all this working. So I'm looking at different directions. So you have to make sure that you are providing the best experience for your audience, and you don't feel stressed out because you're not mastering your communication channel, right? All of these different things that's going on. So I hope that you like some of the things that I'm saying. If you're watching live, what are some of your takeaways so far? Let me know in the comments. What are some of your takeaways? And if you're watching a replay of this, I would love to hear what are some of your favorite takeaways so far. So let's talk about the biggest mistake people are making as speakers and presenter. Okay, this is a big one, okay? So this lady is looking at either, the window, but I want you to take this and call it the window effect. Most of the time as speakers, what do? We tend to look at the mirror and we find too many negative spots. We find the faults, okay? We look at the mirror and say, "I'm not good enough. I'm saying too many ums. I have this dot on my face," okay? We're looking at the mirror and we're turning it back to ourselves, and we're looking at the negative things that we're beating ourselves in. If you want to become a better speaker, the biggest mistake that we're making right now is we're making this too much about ourselves. What do we want to do? Like this lady, instead of looking at ourselves, we actually need to be looking through to the window. So instead of us looking at the mirror, how can we look through the window and see how we can help other people? So we make it less about ourselves and everything about the other side, the other audience. Because here's the thing. Your speaking growth, this is what's going to happen. Your mindset, when we start working on the speaking, it is all about us. There's nothing wrong. I'm not saying don't think about us. I'm just saying take more time to think about your audience, because later on, as you become a better speaker, it is all about your audience and less about you. The questions that you'll start asking yourself are, for example, and here are some new questions to start asking actually. What does my audience want? What are they saying that they want, right? How can I make this easier for my audience? At the end of the speaking situation, what will my audience be thrilled with? So why are these questions important? Because if the quality of your life depends on the quality of the questions that you ask. So if you just keep on asking questions all about, okay, I'm not saying don't stop asking, you should still ask these questions. But if you go into a presentation every single time and you're saying, what if I mess up? How can I stop saying ums less? How can I do all this about myself? Well, how is that helping your audience, right? How can you fill your brain with more questions that your audience will help win, help them win at the end of the day. So take these questions. What does my audience want, right? What are they saying that they want? How can I make this easier for my audience? You want to think of yourself as Amazon? They make it so easy for us to buy stuff. Well, how can you make it so easy for your audience to understand your message, right? At the end of this speaking situation, what will my audience be thrilled with? Because let me tell you this next thing, and this is most of the time, most people don't know how to answer this question. How do you win as a speaker? Well, what are your thoughts? How can you win as a speaker? You can also think of this question as in, what's your ultimate job as a speaker? Now, let me give some examples. Now, if I put this on, right, this is Michael Jordan. Well, how do you win as a basketball player? What would you say? Most of us will say, well, we win by putting the ball into the basket, right? That's how we will win. What about being a doctor? How do you win as a doctor? You don't let people die. You save the other people, right? But what about speaking? How do you win as a speaker? What would you say? Okay. How would you win as a speaker? What is your ultimate job as a speaker? Type it into the comments. I would love to hear what you have to say. What would you say is the ultimate job as a speaker? Now, Charles, I'm saying, I think Charles don't like Michael Jordan here. That's okay, Charles. He's one of the best out there. So how do you win as a speaker? Here's the answer. You want to help your audience make a decision that would benefit them. Basically, you're saying you want to help your audience win. Every single time you are delivering a message, what are you doing? You are helping your audience win. You're helping them make a decision at the end of the day. Well, let me actually go into this a little bit further. Have any of you went to go pick someone's brain? You went up to them, or maybe they came up to you and said, hey, Charles, hey, Brina, hey, Mary, can I come pick your brain about something? And you say, oh, yeah, sure, why not? And you don't only spend 15 minutes, you spend an hour, 2 hours with them. And you gave them all the books, all the information, step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then 6 months, you see them again. And you might say, hey, Gail, did you do anything with what we talked about? And they said, no, I decided to go on a different route. Your job as a speaker is to help people, okay, make a decision, not just present information. Okay, because this is one of the things, this is one of the downfalls that we do a lot. We're informing too much versus helping people make a decision to act on the information. So as a speaker, how do you win as a speaker? You want people to make a decision that will benefit them. Well, it doesn't have to be a physical action that they do. Maybe that at the end of today, right? Your decision could be, a new belief could be, wow, public speaking is one of the best things that I have to work on right now, right? That could be a new decision. It doesn't have to be anything physical. Or it could be, oh, I have to eat organic food. Therefore, I will go out to Whole Foods and buy organic food. So what kind of decisions do you want them to make at the end of the day? So informing too much versus helping people make a decision to act on the information. Oh, and if you're watching live right now, one of the best things you can do as a speaker is adjust to your surroundings. My cat, Lily, wanted to say hi. So I want all of you to say hi to Lily real quick. Hello, Lily. She's messing with my gear right now, so you might see her cat butt walking through. So Lily is saying, keep on moving on, kid. This is good. Oh, thank you, Lily. Okay, so what's coming up next? Strategies to help you ease your speaking anxiety and speak like a pro. So what are some things that you can do as a speaker to ease your anxiety and speak like a pro? And this is what I call the SPEAK method. SPEAK. So actually, before I dive into this SPEAK method, how did I come up with this SPEAK method? I was listening to this app. It's called Calm. And I'm not sure, have any of you used it as a meditation app? It's called Calm. And LeBron James was speaking on there. There's a section that LeBron was speaking. So I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. Let me listen to this. And so LeBron James gave his method of how he can be calm and how can he focus when he has all this pressure. And basically, I was working out during the track at this time. I was doing this hard workout. And all I remember was doing what he was just talking about, doing these steps over and over in my head. Like I'm like, oh, and I'm retweaking this to the speaking side of things. But when I was running that in that track, even 10 seconds out, I was thinking, well, I'm not going to think that way. But 10 seconds later, I was thinking this way, right? So even I'm running that one lap, it maybe took like 2 minutes. Within that 2 minutes, I was thinking so many things already because so many things were happening, right? Maybe I started getting tired. I started running faster. Even though at the beginning, I was saying to myself, I'm going to be good at this. 30 seconds in, I'm like, oh, right? It's completely different, super quick. So the next time you go into a speaking situation, I want you to think of this speak method. So state, posture, energy, avoid, and K is for yes, it's for connect. Okay, so what I mean by this, you want to, let me say this all out and I want to explain. State, you want to get into your space. Posture, you want to make your body language bigger. Energy, you want to sustain your energy. Avoid, you want to ignore the distractions that's out there. And you want to connect, you want to speak to one person at a time. So state, what do I mean by state? Okay, so before your speaking situation, just like athletes, how can you get into the best state? It could be an hour before, it could even be 10 minutes, or it could be now. Maybe you can take a walk, maybe you can call your best friend, maybe you can meditate, maybe you can listen to music. What is that state of mind that you want to get into? Some people, like, let's say Tony Robbins. Have any of you heard of this? Tony Robbins, before he gets to do his on live stage thing, he goes out and jump on a trampoline. He does like 10, 20 push-ups. He gets himself into his best state. Now, maybe that's not for you. Maybe the state that you want to get into is a little bit more calm. Maybe you're meditating. Maybe you're taking a walk. So this is also happening in the speaking situation too. You want to think of, how can I be in my best state? How can I be in my best state? And then you want to all of these, the SPEAK is gonna re-loop. Okay, so you want to go back to the state. How can I get to the best state? Do I need to take a breath right now when I'm speaking? Posture. What is your body language like? Right. It could be the build-up. It could be you're speaking right now. Is my body language small? Am I sitting down in this chair? Right? Or is a body language? Does it look like a confident speaker? Is it big? Is it upright? So again, what's my state of mind right now? What's my body language? I asked a client one day. I asked him, who was the best speaker that you have seen and why? He met Obama before he became president, and he was, I think, sitting in like a round table or one of those large tables. And he said, when Obama got into a room, he would lean forward, look at people in the eyes, and speak with such confidence that everything that he would say is believable. He said, my client said, he would lean forward, like his body language, his presence was so memorable. So again, what is that state of mind that you can get in? And then you want to think of, what's my body? What's my body doing right now? And then it's E for energy. How can you sustain your energy? Did you notice I've been speaking for an hour now? If I don't say anything, no one's going to say anything. And sometimes when this is live and I say, hey, put your thoughts into the comments, right? Sometimes it's not immediately going out. I'm not sitting here. I'm not thinking, why are people not putting comments in super quickly? I'm not playing mind games. Or maybe you're on Zoom, right? And everyone's muted, and you want audience interaction, and you say, hey, what do you all think about this? Dead silence. You want to sustain your energy. Don't lose your energy, okay? Most of the time, it's not you. Many people, let's say on Zoom, don't want to speak up, maybe because they have a bad hair day. Maybe they have bad light. Maybe they're driving. Maybe they have speaking anxiety and they don't want to speak up. And here you're thinking, why are people not engaging? Why are they making that face? Okay, even if they are making a face, they might have to go to the bathroom because they've been sitting in a Zoom meeting for 3 hours, okay? So don't get into your head. How can you keep on sustaining your energy? You need to do this in person and especially virtually nowadays. Sustain your energy, and sustain your energy, okay? So to recap, what state of mind am I in? Do I want to be in my state of mind? Am I calm? Am I energized? What's my body doing, right? Am I losing my energy, or am I sustaining my energy? And then it's A for avoid. You want to ignore the distractions. Now, this is a big one, okay? My wife is into CrossFit, and she was looking up this other athlete that she follows, okay? This athlete was doing push-ups in the nature, and her coach, do you know what her coach was doing? Her coach was pouring dirt over her as she was doing all these push-ups and all these exercises. Why? Because she needs to be able to ignore the distractions. Focus on your goals as a speaker. Yes, there could be distractions that's making you play mind games, but you need to be able to block them out. If people are making faces, you could be like, you can be stuck in your head and you're saying, why am I doing this? Now, when I say ignore distractions, the other thing too, like if you have physical distractions, like let's say I have Inky coming up, or Inky's looking at you. Inky, you want to say something? Inky doesn't want to say anything. If you have like physical distractions, like sound and people coming in, you should definitely say something to that, because you know why? Other people can see it, other people can hear it. It's kind of like a fire alarm. Just say something about the fire alarm, and or like a loud sound outside, and then keep on going. Okay, those are some of the things you do not want to ignore. I'm talking about the bad distractions. Okay, and you know what I mean by those bad distractions. Okay, what's your state of mind? How's my body language? Do I have that energy going on? Am I ignoring the distractions that's going on around me? And connect. How can I feel like I'm speaking to one person at a time, virtually or in person? Because right now, who am I talking to? I'm talking to you, Charles. And Charles is just asking, is my cat's name Inky, I-N-K-Y, because she has spots, like Inky spots. I'm talking to you, Sharon, right? I'm talking to Mary. I'm talking to individuals right now. So as I'm speaking virtually or in person, how can you feel like, even though there's 1,000 people on the other side, I'm still speaking to one person at a time? If this is in person, you are actually speaking to them. You're speaking to one person at a time because you're just speaking to them. Look them in the eyes, right? If you're not looking anyone in the eyes, who the heck are you looking at? And if this is virtually, if you're not looking at the camera, then you are not having eye contact nowadays. Imagine I'm doing my whole, all the video here today, and I'm looking down all the time. This is completely different than giving you eye contact when I'm looking you at the camera. So virtually, your camera is the new eye contact, ladies and gentlemen. So speak. What is your state of mind? Okay, get into your space. And again, you want this to reloop, okay? Pause. Is my body language bigger, right? Am I sustaining my energy? What kind of distractions are getting in the way? How can I ignore them? Am I connecting to one person at a time? Then reloop this. What kind of state of mind am I in, right? How's my body language? What's my energy? Am I ignoring the distractions? Keep the distractions away, okay? Am I connecting? Am I still looking at you? Am I looking at the chat? So use this speak system the next time you have to get into a speaking situation or a presentation or a Zoom meeting. You can even use this in a one-on-one conversation, right? It's like one-on-one conversation. How is my mindset right now? What am I thinking about? So I want to take a few moments and ask you all, right? Why do you think most people fail to progress as speakers? Why do most people fail to progress as speakers? And here are the 4 main reasons why I think they do. After working with so many different individuals, you might fall into these things as well. There's no opportunities and you're not taking enough risk, okay? There's not enough risk taking. Most people fail because 1, you're thinking, there are no speaking opportunities. I'm not speaking. I'm not a public speaker. I don't get 1,000 speaking opportunities. Therefore, there are no opportunities, okay? You don't think there's opportunities, but you need to find and seek opportunities. And when you do, you need to take more risk, okay? The first main reason is you're failing to progress as a speaker because you're not getting enough opportunities and you're not getting enough risk. Second, you don't have a system of getting better. It's like kind of saying, hey, go play the piano, make music. Well, it's kind of hard to learn how to play the piano if you don't have a system to learn how to play the piano. So if you're really dedicated to becoming a better leader, a better speaker, progressing your career, well, how can you find a system that you can keep on using to improve your speaking? And then there's no accountability. Well, accountability could be, well, we all went to this. Okay, I'm psyched to work on my speaking today. I'm psyched tomorrow, but then something happens on Wednesday, right? You're like, oh, I got lazy. Oh, I got so much to do. Well, how can you have that kick in the butt where you have maybe a notification, you have someone else saying, hey, get on your game and work on your speaking. And fourth, most people fail to progress as speakers is because they don't have a coach. They don't have an instructor, someone that already went through and helping others. So imagine, I'm going back to the guitar example. You're working with the guitar instructor. Do you know what they can do? They can point out your weaknesses. They can point out your strengths, because first, you can't see yourself doing it. And second, a coach or a great instructor, they've been through it already. So you want to be able to, if you want to progress as a speaker, you need to implement these things into your life. This is just not also for speaking. This is for, as you can see, everything else in life, but especially for your speaking. If in the next year and the next month, you want to take your speaking to a whole new level. You are a great speaker already. Maybe you just don't know it yet. I have confidence in you. And this will be the last thing I say. I have confidence in you. You are a good speaker. If you want to be the best speaker that you can be, there's nothing holding you back unless it's yourself. I'm here to give you all the knowledge. I'm here to give you the accountability. I'm here to fill you in a room with other people that will also give you a kick in the butt as well. If you want to improve your success tenfold, if you want to finally not have that bad speaking loop, if you want to feel like you are yourself, I'm going to say it's 100% possible. The way you're seeing me live right now, when I'm in a room with like executives or CEOs or entrepreneurs or business, I'm actually the same me. Okay, so if you don't feel like you can be that way yourself now, I want to help you get there, because I'm going to say it is an amazing feeling. I even though maybe we have not met before in person, I have confidence in you, and I know that you can do it. So again, my name is Kit Pang. My email is kit@bostonspeaks.com. I hope to see you all later. Thank you very much, everyone. Take care.